Have your attention, please. Okay, please mute your phones this time. Okay, welcome to a regular meeting of the City Council, the City of Pearsall, being held here August 13th, 2019 at now 6:03 at Pearsall City Hall, 215 South Bass Street, Pearsall, Texas. And a roll call, please.
Mary Moore, Julian Hernandez,
Present.
Richard Gandara, Sonia Hernandez, here. Brenda Trevino, Robert Villarreal,
Here.
Roland Segovia,
Here.
Davina Rodriguez.
Here.
Okay, we do have a quorum, so we'll proceed to the invocation of the Pledge of Allegiance.
And with the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, we ask you to grace us with the gift of wisdom as we work on our budget and other matters for the city. For all this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any citizens to be heard? For the record, Councilwoman Brenda Trevino is here at 6:05. So no citizens to be heard. Item 5, new business. Item A, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 2019-08-01 to authorize signatories to all city bank accounts. This is an action item.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I fell asleep. This is just against signatory for the banks. I don't know if there's any additional discussion other than what's in the agenda
I
package.
have questions.
I make a motion.
Before we do that, there was 5 people on the council last year.
Yes, that's my understanding is those 5 people are signatories, which is the mayor, city manager, finance director, utility billing clerk, and the administrative assistant.
We're just adding him.
We just swapped out the names.
So we're keeping all 4, we're just adding him.
Yes. Okay, there's a motion on the table.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Hernandez. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, 5B, discussion and possible action to award, reject, or re-advertise bid for health insurance. This is an action.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Yes, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, good evening. We do have some good news, we think, compared to what we were looking at as far as the insurance for this year, the health insurance. So if you take a look at your worksheet there, this one here, I think it's, and again, we received this information late yesterday, so give you some time to review it and kind of, we can digest it and go over it together. What I'd like to do today, if there's any questions, feel free to ask. What you'll see is if you look to the further left there, in the blue there, in the U of H, that's United Healthcare. If you look at the very top of the column there, what that is our consultant, our healthcare consultant, basically broke down what we're paying and our benefits from current and renewal. So what I'd like for you guys to look at, for the council to look at, is the items, particularly is the amounts that we were paying for employees, which is about six or 7 rows down. The amount that we were paying for employees was $581 under the current plan. Now again, that's per employee. The amount that the renewal that United Healthcare provided us, a quote was for $866. So if you look at that, you look at the very bottom of that, the bottom balance there, you have the current we were paying approximately $487,000 premiums for employees per year. And the renewal is gonna jump up to $725,892. The good, that initially, we took that and then plugged that, a lot of that information into the budget, which is where you had a lot of your increases to your healthcare, to the healthcare. So what we did, based on the information we received and the information Javier, our consultant, now, by the way, I think they did a really good job of working with us. I was a bit surprised that we were supposed to get this information, I think last Thursday or Friday, I think Councilman Gabriel was here. We gave them an extension until Monday to get us this information. They came by yesterday around 4 o'clock and gave us this information. And so what you'll see is the remaining columns. You see BCBS at the very top there. That's Blue Cross Blue Shield. So that's the acronym for that group. So what you'll find is they gave us a whole bunch of plans. So what you see on all the columns are all the plans and the benefits and the cost. Okay, so what I'd like for us to look at is the plan that we're recommending. You can look at any one that you like, but the plan that we're looking at is, if you look at the one that has an additional three rows there, the second one there, it's PPO MTBCBA 7DB is the plan. That is the plan that we're looking at. And that's the plan that's most comparable to what we have. There's other plans on there, don't get me wrong, but as far as the cost and what we're paying per employee, the actual cost went down to $569 compared to the $581 we're currently paying. There are other plans out there. Don't think that that's the only one. Every one of these is a different plan. So you have a total, I didn't get a total count, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 12 total plans that they've provided pricing for. So of that, this plan here is the one that we're proposing, recommending, that we've actually plugged into the budget. So that's what you see a significant decrease in, is the cost of the healthcare. So with that, the good and the bad and the ugly here, on that, comparing it to the current plan, it's the co-insurance. That amount changed. If you compare the 100%, the other one, the PPO plan we're talking about is 70%. The other amount, which is out of network, is at 50%. The out of pocket, it actually is better for the plan that we're proposing. I think it's $5,600 compared to the $6,350 of the previous plan. Where it does change a little bit, but not much as far as I can tell, is the copay. The copay increased $10 for the employees, and the out of network increased by $20. So they're paying, instead of paying $35, they'll be paying $45 for in network, and instead of paying $70, they're paying $90. The benefit, and where I thought was advantageous for the employees, was the prescriptions. That's probably the best bet, because now they're at 0 for generics, 10 and 50 for the special medications. So there is a benefit there as far as for the employees. So all in all, again, if you go down the next row there, again, that's where you see the cost of $569 per employee. I believe there's very few employees that have the spouses and children, so I'm not going to go into, or the family into their coverages. So all in all, it's a good plan as far as I can see. We don't have every single detail of the plan, but this is enough information for us to at least make a good decision on and move forward with the award of the health care, if that's what the council decides. But I believe the other plan that we entertained was the HSA, which is right next to the next column over, is the one that we also discussed. It is a plan, an option out there. The only concern I had on that end is the fact that we're paying everything out of pocket, so anything up to the deductible. So
last year we paid $4,870
for total.
total.
487,000.
Okay, 487,000. So we're gonna, with this new one, it's gonna cost us 531, 564, which is gonna, we're gonna be paying $44,556 or more.
No,
No, it's the one over here further, I'm sorry, it's this one.
$479,000.
Make sure that, I'm sorry, I think I told you this one, right? Yeah, you have, this one is the one, and then this one is the other. This is the one we're proposing.
Okay, so this one is the one we get.
The one that ends in 7, I believe that's.
70B, yes. Okay, I thought you were talking about this one.
One of them has actually, one of them has a PPO in front of it, and the other one does not. That's part of it, because they're distinguished. So
Okay.
the one that has a PPO in front of it is in the, so it's $479,000 total, 340.
So we're paying less.
Yes, ma'am. It's not a lot less, but it is less than the year prior. It's about $8,000 difference
Yeah,
total.
it's right here, this one.
It's just the cemetery.
It says Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Co-insurance, what is the co-insurance you said?
Co-insurance, and this is kind of, co-insurance, my understanding is that they're using another insurance to cover, you can help me out here, Mr. Well, but you have to add a 9 on
Or
there.
another
Co-insurance
secondary.
basically entails what? The co-insurance system.
Well, the co-insurance is, well, here in this matter, it's going to be like a 70/30, okay? So,
Okay.
you know, that's what that is.
So they'll pay 70, if you have a secondary, it goes 30 with the other one.
Well, no, it's the insurance would be, it'll be 70 and then you 30, but out of pocket would be the X amount, the dollar amount that's on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this one because it's better for the employees with the prescriptions. Instead of paying $15, they're paying 0
For generic.
for generic, and if they go with the regular, they're saving $30. And then with the other one, they're saving $25.
I believe we were really fortunate. I thought we were going to have to pay, based on the claims we've been receiving, we thought we were going to pay a lot more for health insurance, and this is, to me, is just fortunate. I think whoever, Javier, our health consultant, did a good job, in my opinion, of trying to, he said he worked exceptionally hard. I don't know for sure, but it seems like they worked hard to get us a good plan, and I think this is the most advantageous for the city. I would ask that the council, as we move forward, if we want to move forward with this plan, to also consider us doing some preventive things with employees. And what I mean by that is require them to take their biometric screening. If they choose not to take it, this is just a start. If they choose not to take the biometric screening, then we assess a premium as for them to pay. So that's what I'm recommending to the council, because there has to be, we have to at least try to have some preventive measures. Hopefully the idea is for us not to increase, or at least keep it stable. So I would like to add, that we'd like to increase premiums, or add a premium if they don't do the biometric screening. So if they don't come in, and I've seen this with other employers, if they don't do the biometric screenings, then you make them pay $50 of
their
the premium.
Yep.
Whatever the premium is.
It's only better for them.
Is that wellness program that you talked about?
Yes, it's a wellness program, and we can work out with Blue Cross Blue Shield. And
So who initiates it? We initiate it, or
it'll be part of the plan
agent?
that we can get with the agent and make sure that that's included as part of the plan. I don't have all the details. My assumption is that it's included as part of the plan, but they have a wellness program, so this will be part of the wellness.
And the biometric, who's paying for the Astro biometric, would the insurance company pay for that, or who pays for the
I would
biometric?
have to get a little more information. We called Javier today, and we weren't able to get hold of
That's
him.
fine.
But I think if we did it this way, where we invited somebody to come and do the biometric screening somewhere, maybe in a location where I think the cost would be minimal for just getting the
Yeah.
screening.
A lot of area.
Yes. And just having the employees go there at different times to do the screening.
And it is advantageous for the employees to know exactly where they're at, BMI, their blood pressure, so on and so forth, so in order so that they can start monitoring that themselves as well, so we can start avoiding some of these huge claims that we're having.
Is there any questions you guys have to the plan or anything, suggestions?
well, I'm the one that asked that Robert to look into this, because that's his field. And you feel comfortable?
That's cool. Fine.
I thought, again, seeing what I saw, we were looking at last week too, this is a relief in my opinion, compared to what I thought we were going to
I have a question. When you mention wellness program, I mean, what does it entail? Where does it fall?
Part of the wellness and what I would like to see is once we gather the data, when people come and do their biometric screenings, and I'm not talking individual, I'm talking cumulative data to what we're looking at. What are people, are they pre-diabetic? Are they hypertension? Are they borderline hypertension? We analyze and look at the information and then develop programs to try to help people with if they're having an issue with diabetes. My hope is that we can work out maybe with the local fitness club, we can start bringing in the hospital, offering some information regarding diet. Although, that's a bit tough sometimes, I understand that. But the idea to me is if the employee knows that they're pre-diabetic or have, one of the things I've seen is you target certain populations. So you say we're going to try to address the diabetes. You try to develop the program to try to work with people that may have issues with diabetes. And so that's what I'm talking about, is trying to identify, and through the biometric testing, we're able to identify the population, kind of see where everybody's at as far as their health and what we can target and develop a program that can hopefully help with preventive type stuff, exercise, which again, we all know that is important, eating, proper diet and stuff like that. But other cities I've been at, we partner with health clubs, partner with different organizations to try to help the staff as best they can take care of themselves.
So when you say you partner with them, the city would pay their fee into the club?
There's a couple things you can do. One of the things is we can offer. One of the things that I've seen is offer. See, they want to offer a discount. Offer a discount to the health club. It's just a suggestion. Another thing is if we know people are pre-diabetic, the city may say, you know what, we may be interested in paying your health club membership. Again, just things like that. But the hospital, my assumption, has some sort of, a lot of hospitals are going to plant-based diets. They're offering suggestions and recommendations plant-based. Now, I know I've tried the plant-based diet, I know it's really hard, but if you can offer some suggestions and some information from the hospitals to see how they can help the staff, I think that would be advantageous. Doing nothing to me, I guess, would be the worst thing we could do.
And is this based on, 70 employees? Or what?
Yeah, give or take, I think it's staff, you get total count of
It's
just
70.
70.
I'd like to make a motion. There's not any more questions. I'd like to go ahead, make a motion to go ahead and accept the Blue Cross and Blue Shield quote, the one ending with 7B, DB,
PPO.
the PPO, yes.
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Second.
Okay, there's motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous. Blue Cross Blue Shield. Okay, there was 5B. Item 5C, discussion and possible action to authorize the City of Pearsall Police Department to conduct a traffic study for possible placement of speed bumps on Gross Street. It's an action item.
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Yes, sir.
Council, this item was brought to us, I think the councilman, if I'm not mistaken, Rodriguez had some concerns related to some speed bumps at this location. So I think the plan is, and what we're going to try to move forward with is to do a traffic study there. Now, the traffic study, I guess, is fairly new to me, so I'm just going to kind of read off of what I understand the traffic study is here for the city of Pearsall, is to study the section of East Grove Street starting at South Oak up to South Pecan for 7 days, in their 30-minute observation periods is this traffic study. So Chief may have additional comments. I don't have anything else other than that.
No, really. No comments.
I'll put him on the spot. Sorry.
Yeah, just that we can get it done, with your, at his direction, we'll get started and we'll get you an answer real quick. We'll get you the data.
Okay,
I put this on the agenda because I had some residents from that street contact me. They contacted me by phone and then they drove to my house. it's a long strip, so these kids are going down and they're just going. We have some elderly people walking, like exercising, just getting their 5 minutes of walk or 10 minutes of walk. And they said it's been an issue for many, many years. And they were wanting 2 or 3 speed bumps to control the speed.
Actually, we've talked about this before, and what happens is it started over here in Colorado. They go down Roosevelt, cut on Pecos, go to Pecan, and go out that way, and then go to Dilley. And, that's a bigger study.
That would be a
Right. That's what they're doing. 2 or 3. I live that way. That about 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 in the morning, they're racing down that way. You can hear it down your street.
Down the street.
And then you can see the donuts in the street too, where they,
Roosevelt's another big, long stretch.
that's like Oak and Medina, all the way straight.
The other one,
That one's
it's just
another
no
one.
stop sign, it's a straightaway.
Also, Chief, is there money in the budget? Has there been money in the budget for speed bumps, or how's that been handled? Because we seem to run into, by the ways, and we need to find money here and there. So where would that money come from?
It would come from streets, so we get it from streets. As far as the cost, I'll be honest with you, I don't know the cost, I don't have the, I think that the difficulty and challenge we have is doing stuff during the year, requesting speed bumps during the year. We have a plan as to where we want to see speed bumps. I know it's a challenge, but that would work better for the staff, I guess, and for us as far as the planning to budget. But I think right now it's just, from what I gather, I don't know if this is the first time the study has been done or if we had already made some sort of
It's probably the first time we've addressed it to the council, but we brought it up because, we've talked about how they start in Colorado and they just kind of go out that way. And really, it's kind of dangerous because a lot of kids sometimes.
We talked about those street balls on the streets.
On that issue, sir, when we talked about, I don't know if the council remembers, when we talked about Grove Street, we had also asked to put Medina, Councilman Hernandez had asked to put Medina and Willow, and it wasn't put on there. And then we also talked about putting Bernal Street in front of Felipe's. We talked about that one also.
Do you know when that was? Because I believe we received information for this particular item, received from the city secretary.
It was exactly the same time, because I remember she mentioned it, and then Councilwoman Hernandez mentioned Bernal and Medina.
Yeah.
And the one that I was going to mention was what Councilman Hernandez talking about, Pecos and Pine. In Pecos and Pine, there's 2 apartment complexes in between, and there's a church there in between.
We can, if it'd probably be best for us, and we could do this now as far as the.
Well, that'll be for the next meeting.
Sure.
But this one for
identify the
Councilwoman
location.
Rodriguez is gross. That's on the agenda.
Okay.
Wait,
Can
go
I ask
ahead.
a question? So Peter, when the study is being done, how do you do it and how long?
We're gonna log down the amount of traffic, and then we're gonna break that down into commercial versus regular civilian traffic, passenger cars, and then present that to you guys. And you guys will say, you'll decide if that amount of traffic would warrant you guys spending the money there. So that's typically how it would work. And so if we have one car in 7 days, which I know is not,
Right. But you're gonna have like a police officer just sitting there for,
30-minute spans for
Oh.
7 days, randomized throughout the 7 days.
I'd like to ask the Public Works, or the streets, how much is the cost if we were to build it up? I mean, build our own
speed bump.
speed bumps ourselves rather than buying the apparatus to do them? I mean, is there any, what's the cost difference? Would you be able to tell me something regarding that?
Think about maybe a third or maybe a little bit more than half of that. But we're going to cut the material and build it.
So the buildup is better than it'll be take you less expensive?
It depends on how much traffic goes through there. It will probably affect get it wear out.
What you'll have to do, I think, the initial cost will be, I say minimal, but it's a constant maintenance issue, whether you have the bumps or you have, I think I've seen some of the ones that
Yeah.
rubber.
Yeah, I've seen the
and those
rubber.
are always coming apart, and I guess they're tearing up too, so it's more of a maintenance thing than anything. We could get the initial cost for you, but we'd have to, you're right, I mean, we have to come up with some sort of maintenance plan as to how often we're servicing these, whether they're bumps or these things that we probably would have to replace every, I don't know how many years, useful life of one of these bumps would be, the speed bumps would be, but it is something that we'd have to do a little more analysis on.
Yes.
The speed bumps cost you $150 at Home Depot Solutions. Comes with two, they're 6-inch speed bumps. For a street, you need two 12-inch to go from one side to the other. These speed bumps were installed on Margot Drive. They haven't been replaced in over 10 years, and they're still good. You're talking about one set of speed bumps is gonna cost us $150 if they go through that area. You also have the more heavy-duty speed bumps, and those are $250. Those ones, they're gonna make you stop. And I think the one
Frio?
Frio has those.
Frio.
Those will stop. Like if you go through it, you're gonna bottom out. But I know that when they did the speed bumps on Margot Drive, I had just got onto that console, that turn, and we used these, and they were about 100. I thought they were like 125. So they may have gone up in price.
But then we also have to consider the signs and stuff too, right? Don't we have to put signs saying speed bumps
I
or
think the
something?
signs are like $15.
That's it.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
What if we put like a four-way stop? I mean, on certain areas where,
Yeah, that one doesn't have a four-way area. It's a
it's just straight through.
straightaway, and you have just one
You have a
stop right
T.
there on each block. Ash.
You have a T on Ash,
I
and
think, or is it pecan?
yeah.
it's pecan, there's a long
Ash,
strip, and
yeah.
then ash. There's
And
another one in
there's
between.
It's just
Yeah,
stops.
just those.
Chief, is it better, and that might be out of curiosity because I haven't asked the question, is it better to control speed of traffic through signage or through speed bumps?
I mean, it depending on its location, if you can get to where there's a break in the road, whether it's a four-way stop or just a regular two-way, but like for instance on Roosevelt, I mean, you can get your speed up. We have that one four-way stop, but once you get through that four-way stop, it's another good stretch.
There's no
Where these
roads.
kids are really lighting it up. And there's a few streets like that in town that we could maybe consider signs. But whatever direction is, we'll get it done for you when we're ready.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
I'd like you to get it on East Florida too, because the school,
I agree with you there. Yes, sir.
because it's not just the kids. It's the parents, when they pick up the kids, it's 30, 40 miles an hour.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll vote for that also. We get a lot of that.
I live there, I know.
Yes, sir.
We got these at $29.
I think there are a lot of points in town where we could use either lights or something to deter the speeds.
Yes, sir. Another one is Trinity Street. You get going on Trinity, you can get your speed up.
I still believe we need an intersection light there coming out of the high school as well.
Oh,
That'd be great.
yeah,
That would be
yeah.
amazing. But
So, we have a lot of needs there, but on the agenda right now is to authorize the city police department to conduct a traffic study. Is there any more discussion?
Make a motion.
Yes, sir.
Make a
Second.
motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay. It is approved.
What about speed bumps?
It's unanimous. Okay, 5D, under new business, discuss, consider authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Tijerina Galvan and Lawrence CGL for financial advisory services for the city of Pearsall. This is an action item.
It was actually a table item, wasn't it?
I think it was tabled.
It was a table
It is
item.
table item.
Yeah, it was a tabled item, so we have to untable.
Okay, motion to untable.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion to untable by Councilman Villarreal and a second by Councilwoman Trevino to untable. All in favor? Okay, motion is untable. Okay, so is there a motion to entertain this?
Motion.
Okay. There's a motion by Councilwoman Hernandez and a second by Councilwoman Rodriguez. All in favor? Okay, yes, sir, now we can get to it.
All right, sounds good. All right. Mayor and council, this item, you're right, it's been brought to the council. I think it was brought in conjunction with hiring bond counsel, to move forward with some of the financial advisory service and bond counsel. I brought this as an individual item, and the reason for that is this is there's going to be some projects that we're moving forward with, that we'd like to move forward with. That's going to require some financial advisory services and just the council. I'm aware of some of the projects. I'm sure you're aware of everything.
You have an ad number.
But, sorry about that. I'll wait for everybody to turn off their phones. But nonetheless, I believe financial advisory service contract expired in 2017 with the Stein Hills. I believe, and I don't want to give you the resume. I've worked with Robert in the past. As far as I can tell, he's always done a good job for other cities, and he's done good for other cities that I've worked with. We hired him for the city of Pecos. He's done a good job. And the reason we're bringing this individual item forward is again, looking forward to some projects. One of the bigger projects, of course, you have is the annexation project. It's going to require some design and some construction work, which is, I believe, the estimated cost for that is $2.8 million. So in doing that, we need to start moving forward at the very least with design, and then looking forward to construction. So that's one of the projects. I know that the council has also stressed some drainage projects that we want to move forward with. That you've had concerns about. I don't necessarily know if we're going to move forward with them yet. But I know, in my estimation, my recommendation to the council is we look and identify drainage projects that you're interested in and move forward and get some sort of a plan. Because I know in previous meetings, I know that there's been some concerns about certain drainage in certain areas. I personally would like to see if we do it, when we do drainage projects, that we try to do it as best and correctly as possible, as opposed to just, in my opinion, throwing good money into projects that may not work. So I've asked that we start designing some of these drainage projects and constructing some of this work. I know there's been some discussions about retention ponds, and I had a discussion with Mr. Segovia earlier today about retention ponds and comparing them to detention ponds. So there's things that engineers and folks that probably have to get involved with to help us move forward with some of the projects. And there's other projects I'm sure that I'm not aware of that we would like to. I'd like to move forward and see if we can fund some of the projects in the next 6 months to a year to move forward with that. But I do want to give the council an impact, what it's going to cost us to do this, one, and how to structure, whether it's issuing debt, paying cash. That's something that we need a financial advisor for. The other thing with the council that we haven't done, I believe, since 2012, and now it's not on the agenda, but just so the council is aware, I would like to bring an item is for a rate study. We have not had a rate study here since 2012, is what last time I got. So rate study, when I'm talking about that, we're talking about somebody to come in, a professional to come in and help us with our rates when it comes to water, sewer, and gas. That's what we need. We need somebody to. Every community I work with has had rate study at the very least every 2 years. I think again the last one we've done is 7 years ago. To nobody's fault. It's just something to where it's a planning tool to help us identify how we're going to pay for this and move forward with some of these projects. Yes.
No, we've been going back and forth on this issue, and I just wanted to make a motion if we have no comments.
Before that, the fee structure, how does that work?
You want that?
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and staff, for the record, Robert Bedina was Bedina Galán Lawrence. It's a bad habit. I was with my prior firm for 18 years, and I almost let it slip, and I almost let it slip last night. So again, with Bedina Galán Lawrence, and I appreciate the opportunity. Our fee schedule, and not only the financial advisor, but also the bond counsel, no one gets paid unless the financing goes through. So our fee schedule is based on our contract. And what we try to do is keep the contract from our prior firm the same, from memory with, to our firm. And for example, if we have a $500,000, $500,000 financing, our fee would be $9,250. If we had $1 million financing, the fee would be $14,000. So you go based on the fee schedule. It's not a certain percent of the amount that you are borrowing. So again, for example, hypothetically, if we were to move forward and go out with one of the items we require the council saying we're going to do a bond election, and the bond election is going out to voters, the voters say no. That means you can't move forward with the projects. No one gets paid for that. Bond counsel doesn't get paid for the hours put in. Financial advisor doesn't get paid for the hours put in. The consultants get paid only when the city receives its funds. The same day at closing, that's when all the other consultants will get paid. I'm not speaking on behalf of the engineers or the architects or anybody like that, but strictly the bond counsel, as Mr. Day has pointed out, they work hand in hand with the city manager and with the council. And so our fee schedule is pretty similar to a bond council's fee schedule. And again, no one gets paid unless the financing goes through.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion, sir, that we go ahead and engage with the Tijerina, Galvan, and Lawrence as financial advisors for services for the city of Pearsall, and to instruct the city manager to engage with the agreement.
Okay, motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor? It's unanimous.
So in that second part, next council meeting, can you put the second part to that agenda item, that bond council? Because I know it's going to come up real soon because of the possible annexation and some of the expenses, major expenses that we're going to have to do on the annexation if we go through it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, item 5E, council workshop to discuss expenses of the Pueblo Patiño Park project. This is an action item.
Motion. Motion.
Motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor? Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, again, this is an item that I believe was tabled, well, actually, the council agreed to have a workshop. I believe that date was July the 9th. The council was given, I guess, packets of information as far as the project. And so the two items that are on there, again, is item E and F. Yes, E and F, which is related to the project. One is for, again, the discussion the council wanted to have. If the council is satisfied with the discussion without a meeting, then I'd say you do away and not have a motion for item F. So that's why the two items are on. Again, this is open for discussion. I will give a little history, just a little history that I know, and then I'll be quiet. But I think looking back at some of the minutes, I was looking through some of the project, and again, this is information that I found. The project itself was approved, I believe, March 2018 for this work, and I believe the council authorized a budget of $400,000 to $500,000. That's the information that's posted in the minutes. Now, again, if there's any corrections to this, anybody, please feel free to correct me. There was an item that was approved, I believe, in, make sure I'm right here. The little skate park there was approved, and that was brought before the council, and I believe the splash pad and a couple other items. All in all, the council, I believe, authorized a little over $420,000 for the project, those two projects combined. With that, like I said, those two items are again, there was proper bidding procedures and stuff that we was brought to the council. Aside from that, again, I don't know, that's the only information I have as far as the project. And there's probably staff here that's been here longer than I have, that probably knows more about the project than I do. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, for the record, Mayor Moore is here at 6:45.
It's open for discussion with the council.
You said the splash pad and the skateboard park was approved back in March with the 500,000, you said?
The overall project.
4 to 5?
The project itself was approved, it was, the budget was 400,000 to 500,000 to renovate the existing Polo Patino Park. Is what the minutes read, March, I think these were minutes from March of 2018. Then you have June the 12th minutes, 2018, and again, I did as much research as I could on this, so the information I have. The council approved an action item regarding the approval of the skate park bids. That was on June the 12th, 2018.
I just have a comment. After trying to review that, I mean, it's just overwhelming. You really have to be a CPA to look through all this paperwork and so much stuff. So if there's not any more discussion, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and close out the workshop and go ahead and go out for a forensic audit for the Polo Patino Park.
Second. A second.
All in favor?
To close the workshop.
To close the workshop?
No, or to close the workshop and go ahead and order a forensic audit.
Separate items.
Yeah.
You gotta do,
You gotta close the workshop, and the forensic audit has already been passed
We just gotta go
through
with
the
this
council.
from-
That was passed through the council. The next item on the agenda has not been addressed yet.
Okay, so we can just go ahead and.
Close out the workshop,
Close
so.
out E and second. Okay. That one passes.
All
all in favor? Motion carries.
Okay, the next item is 5F.
Motion.
Second.
We're talking about right here, this particular right here. Okay. Discuss and consider authorizing city manager to engage the firm of Carter and Leon to conduct a forensic audit. So you guys have already voted on this? Okay.
I believe,
Right now.
you haven't voted on this item, the reason I brought
We
it.
voted on the forensic audit in a previous meeting,
Just
that it
audit.
would take place,
Not a firm.
not a firm. So now what we're bringing up is the Carter and Leon PC that was recommended by,
Well,
Rico?
yes. Again, just my misunderstanding, or maybe I missed a meeting or so, because I reviewed the meetings, and the last, at least from what I've gathered, the last discussion one was on this, is when you received that to, that packet to, and you, that part of that, y'all agreed to the motion for the workshop. And then there was no, from what and I could look back, but there was no discussion as far as nothing moving on the forensic audit. But again, I could be wrong.
There was a motion made, and on a 3-2 vote,
3-2.
It was approved, the forensic audit was approved. What was tabled was to go out for RFQs.
RFQs.
So we have to untable whatever that is, and then go ahead and with this item F.
But it's not on the agenda.
so this one you can go into it if we're gonna agree to Carter and Leon. Is that correct, Lawyer?
But you,
The attorney's not here, but.
Robert,
The attorney is here, I'm sorry. What the heck? Sorry.
I apologize, what was the question?
Okay, so we had a previously table item. I don't know if the,
I don't think we
I don't
have to
think the forensic
untable
audit was
because
tabled. It was
It's not the same
passed.
version.
It was passed. So the forensic audit was passed with a 3-2 vote to get the forensic audit done. So now we have on here is to authorize the city manager to engage with Carter and Leal. Okay? There was also mentioned, we can also go for RFQs. Okay? That was another action item. That item was tabled.
that was tabled.
Okay, so with us not since that one's not on the agenda, and if the council agrees to go with who Federico is recommending, can we still act on this motion?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Mayor and council, just the reason that this is on there again is to, I wasn't sure what the council wanted to move forward with as far as the workshop. If the council was satisfied with the workshop, that we wouldn't have decided. But nonetheless, the reason the audit is, it's a request for qualifications. You could do that, or again, hire somebody outright. The statute allows for, under professional services, to hire a firm. And Carter and Leal did our external audit. They could do our internal audit. I spoke to them yesterday. Now, I do want to make sure the council understands that, and I think I put a memo in your packet there. They will not, as far as any type of legal advice, that is not their charge. That will be left to the city attorney's office for recommendation. But they will just provide, again, what the audit, now what they're going to look at is, from what I gather, the forensic audit will entail looking at our state statutes, look at state statutes, your local procurement policy, and they'll provide recommendations based on, or findings based on that charge. They will not be discussing legal issues. There are, but the whole goal here is to move forward. Whatever the council wants to do, just move forward. And I would ask the council is once this is done, I know that there may be some questions about other maybe projects in history, but really after this, I would ask that we just move forward, whatever it is we're going to do, and move forward with projects that we know we have to get done.
Okay.
I have on that part, sir, is that the scope of the forensic that you're recommending them to do?
Yes, I don't have the engagement, I don't have a copy of the proposal from them. What they need from us, and that was what I spoke to them about yesterday, is in order for them to give us pricing, they need the number of transactions. That way they can give us a true amount. I don't know, what I was going to do is just give them this packet and say, take a guess. But they can charge us based on the number of transactions. I don't anticipate the cost, I'm saying this, I don't anticipate the cost being over $50,000. Now, again, that's why on the other end is we'll go through this exercise, but understand that it is going to cost money. So, and we all know it.
Yes, yes.
On the scope of the project, sir, I would ask that you tell them to follow closely the procurement process, the local city of Pearsall purchasing policies, if it was followed. Also to follow the state law, small purchase under $2,000, follow that one. We'll also look at the nepotism law. So there was any employees, local employees that benefited from this project. And then also, we can also look at the possibility that at the very beginning, and like I said, that's what a forensic audit is, that project, that park there was funded by Texas Parks and Wildlife back in the days. Any adjustment that is done to a Texas Parks and Wildlife project needs to get approval through Texas Parks and Wildlife. Okay? There was tennis courts that were removed from that park. Those tennis courts were not burned down on that building. They were separate from the park. And that tennis courts were taken off. So I don't know if we're, once again, in violation of Texas Parks and Wildlife. But like I said, that's something that the forensic audit would have to look into to see if we're in any violation of that.
Okay.
You want to speak to this?
I just give it to him.
On the, and I don't have a copy of this for the council, but there are, Josie just handed me this information as far as the neighborhood center replacement plan is speaking of parks. Anyway, there's certain, is this part of the manager report back in 2018 that speaks to this as far as parks. Now, and I won't read all of this, but
What was it? I don't know what.
it's something that I think Mr. Former city manager had provided us in his report back in 2018 as far as just speaking about parks. I will say that the parks are, and it's been my experience, parks are refurbished all the time. You don't have to, now, when they're funded, a lot of them are funded to Texas Parks and Wildlife. You do now, what I know from previous experiences, is if a park is funded with Texas Parks and Wildlife funding, that you can't go undesignated park. So I can't go and say, this is now a road and it's not a park. I have to get their consent to do that, and that's almost impossible. But that's pretty much the extent of what I get. We can research that, but that's the extent of getting authorization for Texas Parks and Wildlife. But we are, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
But as far as the actual audit, yes, the plan is to look at Chapter 252 of the Local Government Code, which speaks of all of the statutory requirements for procurement, look at our local policy. It also is going to include, we also have to look at other parts of the state statute, which would include, there are some items that aren't necessarily included in the audit that we would have to look at if you're asking about nepotism. That would include some there are certain requirements for people that if some family member or whoever does work in the city, that they should at the very least
File paperwork.
file the appropriate paperwork. I don't know the statute, but there are some things that they have to look at.
Excuse me, if I understand it correctly, I think you cannot change the footprint of the park itself. Add a parking lot or take from the park to add a parking lot. That's my extent of the park, what I read on it. That you can't change the footprint, but refurbish, you can refurbish anytime you want. It's just the footprint of it, or exactly what you were saying. You can't undesignate it as a park or change it or make it smaller or, especially smaller.
Yeah, because park equipment, like anything else, is going to have to be replaced.
Deteriorate with time.
So when it deteriorates, you are going to have to.
The last comment I have is that also on the forensic audit, to look at also the extent of the project. According to the government code, anything over 50,000 needs an engineer, needs a contractor, a surveyor, and I believe none of that stuff was done. So that's part of the scope.
There's no further discussion. We need to address the motion to address 5F.
Motion, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor, by show of hands? Motion carries. 5-1 opposed. Brenda opposed? All righty. We're moving on to item 6, executive session in accordance with Texas
They want
government.
to delay that.
You want to delay this?
Is he still out?
Yeah, but he's available.
He's available. Okay, we can go into.
Okay, so we're going to the budget workshop?
Oh, sorry, he's available by phone, Mayor, I'm sorry. He can go into executive sessions where he can talk to us by
So
phone.
he's in Carrizo Springs right now,
Okay.
heading back, but he's available by phone if
Okay, then
council
we can
wants
go
to
there.
address it right now.
That's fine. Okay, entertain a motion to go in executive session to discuss 6A, B, and C.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? The time is 6:57. Second? The time is 7:56. All righty.
You have a mouse?
Where'd it go?
Then I could see. Can you help me with that? I'm gonna let you do that.
So in open session, first of all, there's no action taken in executive session. Item 7A, discussion and possible action regarding Kilmar Mobile Home Park LLC, John and Teresa Curtis, property on the claim against the city of Pearsall. No action to be taken. And item B, 7B, discussion and possible action regarding amending the city manager's employment contract regarding vehicle housing or other allowances. This is an action item. Need to entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion to discuss.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion may proceed.
For discussion.
Is in there discussion?
I'd
If
just
not,
like to
we
make-
entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to amend the city manager's employment contract regarding the vehicle and housing to
Exclude the
to exclude the car allowance and provide for $1,500 for the next 6 months of housing.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor of this, by show of hands. Motion carries unanimously. So item C, discussion and possible action regarding the 2019-2020 tax rate. Entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion. Second.
All in favor? I think we're going to take no action on this one as well?
Correct.
Okay, no action on this one as well. So we'll proceed on to budget workshop, item A. Budget workshop for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. This is a workshop, so entertain a motion to go into the workshop, please. May I have a second? Second. All in favor? Yes, sir.
Mayor, council, I won't go into too much detail. I know we discussed a lot of some things at our last meeting. I would say there were some changes. Again, the biggest benefit or change for us was the health insurance. Health insurance, what you'll see as far as the new package you'll see is the modifications and changes to the health insurance as far as cost. We try to balance this budget as best we could and shaved off as much as we could. You will see a positive fund balance we're proposing for the utilities, still showing a negative fund balance of a negative amount as far as revenues to expenditures for the general fund. Again, we try to cut as much as we possibly could. We try to give a conservative fiscal budget for you. I will just go over a couple of items. One of the things again that we changed there, and you'll see on your is the expected sales tax. The sales tax will increase by $50,000. Okay, so that's at 2.35 million. We anticipate to collect that. Again, we feel these are conservative numbers. We feel that we'll be able to generate that as far as sales tax. On the tax rate, and one of the changes, the errors that I made at the last meeting was the collections for the annexation. The amount that we're looking at is $140,000 for that annexation, so that's a good number. I mean, if that proposed annexation added about $16.7 million to the tax roll. So I say it's proposed, the actual the annexation added that. If you multiply that $16.7 million amount by your tax rate, that'll give you the amount generated as far as total property tax. So that's how I came to that number. So if we go to the next slide. Again, some of these are the same thing that next slide. These are some of the information we received. Again, to reiterate, we received positive information from the healthcare consultant. the cost again helped us out quite a bit, so we were able to see some increases, some decreases there. All in all, I think last time we provided the council revenues versus expenditures on the general fund, we were over $400,000. So this, what we've done is in my opinion, is pretty significant. Again, to reiterate some of the projects, the one that I mentioned to the council earlier is the project for that annexation. That is going to be, I think LEB provided us an estimate back in, help me out, Josie, maybe like December. It's been some time, but anyway, the estimated amount for that project is $2.8 million. So that's not the project cost. So again, there's some things that are not included in the budget that we need to start preparing. That $2.8 million is definitely not in the budget. So just want to make sure the council is aware of that. Can you go to the next? The proposed cuts in addition to staff, one of the things that we're looking at, again, council, and I do whatever feedback the council gives, and I've looked at the city charter, and I haven't spoken to Bobby yet, but what I'm proposing, council, is to centralize the directors, and what I mean by that is the charter allows for us to combine director positions, and that's what I'm proposing. In cities this size, and cities that I've been a part of, we have quite a few directors here, and it's not to say that any of these directors don't have the qualifications or the ability to do the work that they're asked to do. What it is and what I see is there's several directors that report to the city manager, and I feel like, again, we can centralize that, do some of the work. If we were, we had more movement as far as economic development and community development, I venture to say we probably want to add some positions. But under the current conditions, and again, the budget constraints, these are the positions that we get asked. And nobody, I know that, listening to council members, I try to understand more or less what the council's concerns were, not necessarily with individuals, but more with the budget. So when I talk about budgets, I'm talking about cutting. My cuts are to budgets to departments, not to individuals. I try my best not to target particularly. But as you can see, most of the positions that I'm proposing are director positions. It's not every one of them. And other positions are accounting position. I spoke to Josie about that. We had a discussion. I tried to get feedback from the department heads to see what their needs are as far as staff. And the other one, I did speak to the judge as far as the needs out in municipal court. But as you can see, the majority of the positions are for director positions, and I believe that we have the staff here to be able to take on the duties of some of these individuals. Again, not to say that they're not capable. I just, again, my position is we have the staff and the ability to do some of these things and to cut costs. In the end, and I can show you, let me break it down, is we're still proposing 3% cost of living. We're trying to, I would like to bring back or entertain the thought of keeping the one-time pay option of $1,000. We took that out of the budget, but I'm asking the council, I know that would increase our expenses by about $40,000 on the general fund side. But I think it would be a good thing for us to consider for some of the staff that we needed. I think we're talking about 40 staff, but it would be a one-time pay and additional cost allowance. Again, we took it out of the budget, so what you see in your packet does not include the one-time pay that we had proposed at the last meeting. Again, we're looking at hiring 2 additional staff for the streets, the parks and recreation. This is, and actually, it was kind of a good thing. I think what we're proposing here will be combined with public works. So the reason for that is this: again, we're combining the positions. I believe the current title of the recreation director, and again, I won't get into every detail because I don't know all the history, but I think he's been moved to the assistant public works director. There's been a title change there. The reason I mentioned that is the reason I mentioned that is I think it's Mr. Opeta. Again, that's
What is it? One second, one at a time.
there was a title change of an assistant public works director. Now, historically, I don't know all the details. I just know that that's the current title. Okay. So with that, what I'm saying is if that's the case, which again, we could discuss that. My point is that we do now have the ability to have one department as opposed to combined departments of recreation and public works. I've seen that before, where you lump into the parks folks. What we need on our end, and what I'm proposing is if we hire a public works director, give them the flexibility to use the right-of-way folks to do street work and vice versa. We need the manpower, and we need it centralized to where we're not going and asking two directors, well, can I borrow your guy for this job or this guy for this job? It needs to be to where we have one person, public works director, that's helping to make decisions as to who's going to do these works. I believe that the right-of-way person, the right-of-way group should be working hand in hand in the streets. That's my position. It's kind of, I think it works hand in hand. I'm sure there's things that the right-of-way folks do that I may not be aware of, but I think it's a good thing. So anyway, that's one of the changes. The other change is, again, the increases to healthcare, we're not proposing any increase. The one that I did mention earlier was the $50 contribution monthly if the employees choose not to do the biometric screening. And that, again, I'd like to roll that out sometime in October, November, to start doing the biometric screening. And that way we can have our data, the information we need for the next budget. So we do need a partner with, I would like to, again, partner with a hospital and see what health wellness programs or whoever it is we can partner with, health club, it doesn't matter to me. But see if we can come up with some idea plan to help the staff with wellness.
Okay, so here you're adding 2 additional positions for streets?
Yes.
Okay, so the streets, and you're saying they're gonna work hand in hand with Parks and Recreation?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I think that puts in that.
Yeah, and which, to me, as a comment, is if we have 4 employees at the library, and we only have 2 in the street, that's where we got to reconstruct.
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna just go back to meetings we had with the community, meetings we had with our business community. And a lot of things were laid out, a lot of things, we got a lot of input as to what the community wanted, okay? And some of the things I don't see in this budget, very much money for cleaning up the town. I don't see much money in here for streets. I don't see much money for improving the transfer station. We've cut services out there to 4 hours a day. And people in this town are asking, how can we take our stuff out there if it's locked half the time, or when we do, it's pretty expensive, okay? So there's a need for clean up Saturdays, clean up whatever days, whatever. We started to clean up the town. I think we cleaned it up one time, Main Street, because the governance was gonna come, okay? And then we forgot about all that. In fact, Main Street hasn't been cleaned up since then. The problem that I see is that we're not addressing the goals of the council here through this budget. And we set those goals, and those goals were passed out to this council, the new council. And we saw those goals, and we were supposed to come back with any new input. So some of our goals are not being addressed at all. And I mean, we have to improve on our streets. We need more money there. We need staff there. I think 6 workers is just not enough. You know, we've got machines that we put money into, and they're pretty much parked everywhere. They're not being utilized. You know, as far as code enforcement, you know, we gotta have a structure there. We gotta have some money, some manpower to handle all that. How can we tear down buildings and so forth? We have no muscle behind it.
Yeah,
And no financial means to do it, and so forth.
I think you bring up good points. I think what we need to do again, and I hate to on my end is, I'm saying the consolidation, when you're going from 2 employees for streets to 10, And I'm saying the team, you involve the right-of-way group, you increase the number of positions to the 2 additional positions. You have 2, I thought we proposed 3, but we have a total. Anyway, so you're increasing that manpower. We haven't even talked about equipment because part of what and it's not in the budget, it's not going to cost us anything this year. We are going to propose buying equipment. I don't have those numbers yet, but buying some equipment that we need. Part of what we need to do, and I need to get with the police chief and who's going to, if this is approved, is going to be over code enforcement. I need to get with the municipal court judge. We need to start working on dilapidated structures. Part of that's going to require us for us to have hearings, to set up hearings to make sure we're following state statute. So we identify 4 or 5 buildings. I'm not suggesting the whole town. I don't know if we have the manpower for that. But if we identify 4 or 5 structures that we want to demolish, and we come back and say, hey, look, we have either have the manpower when we've gone through the hearings to demolish these buildings. I've seen, and this is just from the outside looking in, those are small steps you can take. It's not going to be a solve all type of problem, but it is something to where you can address things and some of these things. You can still, my position is this, you can still have cleanups, and I've done it before in other communities. When you have cleanups, you say we're going to do this 2 or 3 times a year. You require our city staff to be out there, the manpower. We have bins out there where people come and take their trash and we at no charge, and they come and do that so they won't have to go to the transfer station. You can do things like that which are minimal in cost aside from the manpower to try to clean up the town. Now, we're talking about cleanups where you're actually going and cleaning each individual streets, whether it's the staff or the community. That would require some planning. I would like to see some volunteer groups and nonprofits because I think just to say that the staff is responsible for cleaning the entire town, that would be really tough. But we could.
But just the fees alone is why most people don't go to the transfer station, and they just can't afford it.
And I think maybe that's something we can look at, because I've asked, that was one of the questions that I actually asked the gentleman that actually is out there a lot of times. I said, what is the traffic look like? Well, and then I'll just share this operational thing. We don't have a sign-in sheet, okay? So there's no accounting of traffic. Is there really traffic that's being generated? And if there's no traffic being generated, why not? Is it because people aren't going out there because of the cost, or because people just aren't going out there? If we could propose that we not charge anything and see how that works. Don't charge a fee. I've seen that in other communities. You don't charge a fee. You just let people go out there. If you really are, if we as the council want to provide, and the staff want to provide an incentive to the community, say, we're not charging you to go and dump out there.
But those bins are going to cost us money. They're gonna cost, and that's what I'm saying is, if we're really serious about cleaning up the town and making this a better place, improve the quality of life, and as a lot of the business owners stated to us, clean up the town and we'll get more businesses in here.
Right.
And that's where we have not, we have failed, basically, because we have not done it.
I think you could, this is just my, I would venture to say that there's not very much money we're generating from the transfer station. I don't know that for a fact. But my point is if that's the case, then why just waive the fees? Allow just a certain amount of trash, certain things that can be dumped there. I think there's probably some regulations. But when you do that, then you see how much participation there truly is going to be. If you're not charging them anything, let's see how that works out.
But we used to have 2 trash cans at every residence, and it's down to 1. And we used to have the transfer station open 8 hours a day. It's down to 4 hours, maybe.
And 2
sometimes.
days. 2 days out of the week.
2 or 3 days out of the week sometimes. And then we made a big noise about cleaning up the town, but we never really did it. And so I want our budget to reflect that, hey, we're going to put some manpower on the streets to fix things. We're going to put those machines out to work, have the supplies for those materials for those trucks, and compensate those people that are out there doing that work. And that we're going to look at purchasing equipment and those kinds of things. I mean, I think in my opinion, we just need to get back to some basics and do what we got to do, because the community, honestly speaking, 9 out of 10 people in this community, when we talk, they don't really care for programs like Main Street. They don't care for anything else like that right now.
Right.
It's not an immediate need.
Right.
We're in immediate need mode because this community has waited for a while now.
Yeah.
And so, and we are a big community. We have lots and lots of residents, and we do need to see a better town, cleaner town, and so forth. That's what a lot of people have expressed over time. I mean, and that's where our goals are centered. Our strategy and all that for the council was based on all that. And so that this is where, even going back a little bit, our planning, our strategic planning, the master plan, we've got to get that, in my opinion, we've got to get that going. We've got to figure out what to do with this town first.
Right.
Instead of jumping ahead of things. Yes, we can maybe get there and do some of the nice little things we want to do downtown and so forth, but right now, there's more pressing needs, in my opinion. The infrastructure, we still have a lot of clay pipes everywhere. A lot of the water lines are rusted out. You know, there's a lot of need. So I'm just concerned that our budget is not going to address, we're going to go through another year, we're not going to really make a big dent on any of these issues and concerns that citizens have.
I think, again, the start to me was hiring more staff, which we're proposing for the street department. I would say it's more than spending the budget for years past. Not only that, again, we do need to get to where if we want to waive fees for people taking trash to the transfer station, it's a start. It's not, again, it's not a solve-all be-all. It's not. But it is something to where we could take some steps. Because, to be quite frank, we didn't get this way overnight. It's not going to be something to where we're going to solve these problems for the next 6 months or a year. But it is something where we can gradually take steps to improve things. I think with the council, listening to the council, I think that you want to see some activity, something going on in the streets. And I think that's something that I feel confident we can do. But it's hard right now to do a lot. And I've spoken to the staff. It's hard to do things with 2 people or lack of equipment. And not to take anything away from them, I think they're giving it as much as they can. I've seen it myself. It's not a lot of work because again, they don't have the resources. One, but again, on the other end, from an economic development standpoint, is there's got to be. I mean, we could make the argument both ways. Is for Main Street or any other incentive type program that we have, there has to be that. Do you want to abandon that altogether, or do we want to provide some sort of incentive? Or, and again, that's just a question from a policy perspective the council would have to answer. Is there are things that we're looking at, for instance, that the annexations and other incentives that have been provided. And so again, if it's something to where the council feels that from a policy standpoint, we don't want to move forward with the Main Street program, we could,
I just don't see how we're going to. I think we went a little further down the road than we should have. We don't have a master plan. We don't have any kind of planning in terms of housing, land use, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all these things come up sometimes and we're being reactive. Okay, we're being reactive, and in the meantime, we're supposed to be stewards of our community's resources, and that's my concern. My biggest concern is that we've got to get things done in this community that are priority.
Yes, sir.
And it hasn't happened here. I'm in my 5th year as a council member, and I still see the same things.
Right.
And as far as Main Street or any area in town, I just don't see how we can do anything effectively if we don't have any control over those buildings. And to
Yes, Councilman.
I wanted to finish my comment with and I think what we all want a cleaner community, we want it nicer, but from when I met with the city manager, we were trying to figure out how we could get more streets. Because when I went and met with the guys out there, I was like, how many guys do you have out here? When we were looking at that road,
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt, he said, I only have two, it's only two of us. So and then when we brought it to the meeting, I think Councilman Hernandez had mentioned, we cut down there because they let go a lot of people to make money, but we neglected all, the streets got worse because we're trying to get more money up here to save money. So I'm reviewing the budget and the employees, the directors. We're at a high of directors that the city's ever had, and a lot of high-paying positions. I know when the Chamber of Commerce was here, they did a lot of the Main Street, which wasn't considered Main Street. They organized festivals and all that. We didn't pay them. The Chamber of Commerce paid themselves through the hotel motel tax, just like all the other cities do. And there's 3 positions there that can also just go straight to the chamber. You're not necessarily letting them go, but we're letting them go out of our budget, and it gets paid through the hotel motel tax. So that's 3 employees that we can.
We're doing that already.
Yeah. Okay, that goes straight to the streets, because what I'm looking at, how much we're paying them, and what we're looking at. Never have I seen a library with 4 employees. Never. It's always been one director and a part-time employee. Then we go with the school and they bring us a kid from high school that comes in part-time that we don't pay. Municipal, we've never had more than 2, counting the judge and the full-timer. And the part-timer we usually would get from workforce, the school. And there's city clerk back in the day would do multiple jobs. She did 6 positions. The zoning was only 1 person, and that's what we're doing. And I have faith and trust in Mr. Reyes is that we got to get the streets up to par. 2 guys in streets is not going to get us nowhere, and that is the heart of the city. The water, the guys that cut the grass, they're also beautifying the city. But if we only have 2 in each department, we're not getting nowhere. And Parks and Rec, they have 6 to 7 employees. And all, they're just doing parks. But we got to bring those guys out to help our streets, and we can make our 10, 15 employees. But we put them under one area.
Yes.
So right now, how many employees do we have in the street department?
Well, I think it's 3.
3.
But one of them is 2 there actually.
We have 3.
3.
But one of them does machine.
And we're asking for how many more?
3.
3 more.
You said did we put 3?
3.
I did that. I'm sorry, it was 3 more positions.
3 more.
3 are plugged into
We're up to 6.
6, yes.
Okay. Going to Councilman Hernandez's concerns and Councilman Rodriguez, I agree. And I'm going to try to see if the council, it's not a popular decision, and I know some council members might be against it, but this is something that was thrown at us, on this budget. We didn't ask for this deficit. We're trying to cut. We're trying to make ends meet. And
Which deficit?
the deficit that we're in right now.
Which deficit?
I think it's $9,000 a general fund. The way it's proposed is $9,000.
We're in the black, 51,000.
If I may,
Yeah, there's no deficit.
I'm not talking about trying to fix a deficit. I'm just talking about redirecting monies to where our priorities have been established as a council.
Okay.
Finish your.
I'll go ahead and recommend to the council on some of the other cuts that we've already been making or has already been recommended. Is that on the Main Street project, to go ahead and eliminate the Main Street project and combine it with in-house, the Main Street.
The Main Street program?
The Main Street program, yes. Combine it in-house. There's individuals in the office that do admin work they've been doing admin work for the Parks Director, for Ramiro. I don't know if it's Melissa or Delisha. They've been doing admin work for like 5 years. and that's very similar to the Main Street program. So I'm pretty sure that they can take on that responsibility as a Main Street if the council so wishes to go still with the Main Street program. The other part is that the HR position. Okay, I'll recommend to eliminate the HR position and combine it with the executive assistant, executive secretary, which is STAR.
Those are your,
Yes, ma'am.
you finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman?
I agree with both of them in certain aspects. However, the streets have gotten the way they are because of lack of maintenance. And it's to no avail if we fix the streets and there's not going to be any maintenance to them. So I do agree that we do need more workers out there, okay? Now, we bought a machine out there to clean the streets. I've never seen it out there. To this day, we've asked for a maintenance schedule. We still have not gotten it.
Right.
And it's news to me that now we have an assistant public works, which I was never aware that this was news to me when you just brought it up today. I don't believe I ever voted for anything to such a lateral movement like that. You know, I wish in the future things would this be communicated to the council, because it's not the first time this has happened. Could you let me finish, please? I just don't. Well, anyway, but there is still more room for making some changes, you know, and you know, one of the things also that I was proposing was the summer rec program. That's approximately $18,000 just for the program itself, and then $15,000 for the employees. If we can work in collaboration with the school district, I know they have the ACE program now, which maybe we can work in collaboration with them as well, and save a little bit of money there as well. We're looking at about about $33,000 just there. And then I also saw in the budget there was something called Teen Night. I don't know what that is. Teen Night, it's $5,000, and I really don't know what that is. It's in the budget, it's been budgeted. I still don't understand.
I think the teen night was during the summer, and they would have it like on Friday nights at the pool.
And then,
That hasn't occurred, so, you know.
and then I think they only had one, and it's like 10 in attendance.
Yeah.
My daughter's a lifeguard, and there's nobody there. And if we're spending $5,000 for 10 kids, we should just get rid of that team.
And I totally agree in regards to the directors. I mean, you know, the directors, the position comes with the salary, of course. Can we make them coordinators rather than that you know, the public works he would oversee some of these coordinators, you know, to alleviate some of the things that you have in your plate as well, you know. But like I said, there is still more room for improvement there. And I totally first. One of the things that I was looking at was the park supervisor, director, that now is somehow, he's the public works assistant, or, which, like I said,
How did he get that title?
I think in the now, I don't want to speak to this historically, but I think.
It's right here.
On the proposed, the approved budget for 2018-19, we had the Public Works Director as a vacant hold, and we had the Assistant Public Works Director, Rudy Carrizales, as well as Assistant Public Works Director, Parks, Mr. Ramiro Otero was in the salary plan that was approved with the budget for 18-19 on the organizational chart. And it's very small, so you can't really.
very transparent,
but,
huh?
yeah, it's on there.
It's not
And that's
hardly
what we did
transparent.
for the
Exactly.
meeting.
Very transparent.
It's too much roles, and there's a lot of people that have done all these roles, and you noticed it, Mr. Reyes, is that you have these directors making 60 to 70,000 a year, and you said yourself, how do they get all these roles? You know, like, that's just, it's like stifling. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna pay me another 1,500, but it's not, it's your salary.
One of the things that we need to look at, and again, some of this just to make sure and clarify some things. I think there was there was a compensation study, or an attempt at a compensation study. I think there was internal again. I wasn't here for all this, so I don't know all the details, but what I can tell you is one of the things that with the compensation study, what you do is you not only change titles, but you also have to look at the job descriptions now. Whether that was done or not, I don't know, it may have been, but it would be a good idea. And then we could look at this, maybe the contingency item to do a full-fledged compensation study. I've been a part of them. They're good because it does give you a true picture of what staff does as far as their job descriptions. But also, if there may be some staff on the other end that do more than what their job entails. Their current job description, which is unfair to them as far as compensation. On the other end is you have staff that you don't necessarily have a true job description, but salary may not need to be as high. But again, I wouldn't propose lowering somebody's salary because we found that the revised job description of their duties, what we talked about. So, but in saying that, a true compensation study, you can probably do it for $30,000 to give us some idea of compensation. What I think, what I'm hearing from the staff, the challenging part for us is how do you go and again try to do this with a limited budget, and at the same time try to provide some sort of compensation, an increase for them. And they're not. I don't think they're complaining. I think all of them are grateful for benefits and stuff. But from what I gather, there hasn't been an increase in several years as far as a pay increase for for the lower paying staff, the lower paid staff. So I think that to me was a challenge, trying to figure out how do we give them a little bit more money and still give them some incentive to continue.
So,
regarding the study that you're referring to, I had brought that up prior to the 80-80 or 80-90, and I was shut down on that. But I mean, that's water under the bridge. But I would welcome to do a study on there and to make sure that we're in line, and this size is a community, because and I was also opposed to the 80-90, because as when we looked at the pay schedule, most of the people that were getting these huge raises were actually directors. It wasn't the people out in the field. It wasn't the people in the entry levels or even the mid levels. It was just directors who were making all these high salaries. And I really opposed to that. But of course, I was outvoted regarding that. But yeah, I would like to welcome that. I mean, to do some kind of study.
Yes. So. You did this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the restructure, combine, and elimination of positions. So it says accountant position, municipal clerk, part-time, library director, economic development director, and tourism. So do you know which ones you're gonna be eliminating, which ones you're gonna be combining, or which ones you were wanting to restructure?
By charter, we can combine the director positions. I think that's in your charter. The elimination of positions is about to be on when we get a chance. You've already reviewed it.
I was looking at it right now. The charter doesn't establish a baseline for the creation and maintenance of departments, but it does allow a tremendous amount of flexibility to combine or separate. So everything that Mr. LePay has been discussing this evening, and also comments from council, you've got that flexibility. So everything we talked about, you have the flexibility to do.
So in keeping with the charter positions that we combine, I feel that we, the admin staff here at City Hall and myself, we can handle the economic community development function of it and the library function. The library was the toughest challenge for me. We could still have a head librarian and maybe have somebody to oversee that function as far as library operations. But the other, at least for me, was pretty cut and dry. I think, again, the public works director, the recreation thing make perfect sense to me. We need the manpower. We need in my opinion, consolidated where we can give the public works director the latitude to put these people to wherever he needs them. As far as what needs to be done. And so, yes, ma'am, I did.
I have one
propose that.
question.
And then on the other thing, that The one section I think the police chief would take on would be the code enforcement side, which was another issue.
I'm still not clear on something. Okay, but I'm still not clear on if these positions, which ones of these positions were you wanting to restructure, which ones were you wanting to combine, and which ones were you wanting to eliminate?
We would eliminate
Economic development, the
the
library.
accountant position, we would eliminate that position.
Which one?
The accountant position.
Accountant, okay, eliminate. Okay,
Municipal clerk, part-time position,
part-time,
eliminate that position.
oh, eliminate, okay.
The library director, I'm saying that we combine that with city
Combine.
manager duties.
Okay,
And you would keep 4 employees still there?
We would keep, again, we eliminate the library director position. What I mean by that, if you combine it, is I don't, if I'm gonna oversee that function of it, there's no need for a library director.
Yes.
We could still have, what I'm getting at is you could still have a library, head librarian, and have their 2 assistants, but I don't know that two are librarians.
Let her finish.
Okay, go ahead.
uh-huh, so then,
And then the economic development director, that position will also, that would be eliminated.
Eliminated.
Yes, ma'am. And then tourism, and I think I have that wrong, that's community development, that's not economic, that's community development director position. That should have been economic development.
oh, so it's community?
Yes, community, that is, in that position, that function will fall under the city manager's office.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am. So that would be a position that we would eliminate the director.
But, okay.
And the tourism development director position would be another position that would fall under the city managers. So what we're trying to do, what I'm trying to do is combine most of the functions of community and economic development to city managers. I feel we have the admin staff, we have 3 or 4 admin staff that can help with those functions. The goal for us, at least, I know that there's other things that we have, that I'll have to be in charge and responsible for, but we do need to start, as Mr. Hernandez alluded to, the comprehensive plan. I know there's been some work to that, but we do need to move forward with some of those things. I think there's money budgeted this year for a comprehensive plan, but it is important for us to start addressing some of these issues. I spoke to Bobby a bit also about the zoning and subdivision regulations. From what I gather, those things have not been updated for several years. So those are the things that we'll be focusing on.
All right.
I was looking at the budget for the Main Street. I mean, it's over $100,000 worth, including the director. Couldn't we apply that money to the streets, or, I mean,
If the council wants to,
it's not hot tax.
Which one, the Main Street?
The Main
Yeah, it's
Street,
right there in the,
the Main Street's not a hot tax.
it's right there.
It's out of the general fund.
It's under the general fund.
Because that position there was always done by the chamber. That's a lot of money they're getting paid.
and again, on that, and it's a policy decision right now. So it really is, it's more of a, you don't want to have a Main Street program. That's completely, I feel that, and this is just my, not to say the position, but my position is that there has to be some sort of assistance, some way of promoting the Louis economic development, whether it's downtown, and I always see Main Street that way. But again, if the council, from a policy perspective, wants to eliminate that program, that's completely the council's discretion.
I don't think like eliminating it, but the pay, what is the payroll on there? The payroll out of Main Street, and how many employees do we have there?
do we have a copy of that?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
it's on
It's about
there.
53,000.
53,000 for one
Payroll.
employee?
Payroll.
And how many employees do we have there?
With benefits and, it's one employee.
So we have 48,900 with benefits
For 2 employees or one
for
employee?
one
employee.
employee. For
One employee, and that's not coming out of the hotel multiple
No,
times.
this is general fund, and we
Yeah,
did
that's
receive a
not,
grant.
that's not where it should be.
We received a grant.
To go ahead and accommodate the Main Street, but it takes
It-
out of general fund.
Yes, but that grant, does it pay for the salary?
No,
No, it does not.
It just says that we're gonna have the
So
Main Street.
that's the other thing we're gonna go by. We got a grant. The grant is to not pay no money. If we have 2 employees in here that can do that job's not a full-time job. Okay, so if we get an employee here, or we move the Main Street girl, the utility clerk, she's utility, and then 3 hours of the day, she's doing Main Street, we're not paying her 53,000, because why get the grant? Why get the grant? Because the grant is to save us money, but we're not. And what we need to do is, everybody work with,
Cross-train.
cross-train, that's the word, thank you. The cross-train, $53,000 out of a general fund, and we're paying a street worker $11 an hour. The raises that were given last year, $15,000 raises per individual up to, and our street guys are making $11? That's ridiculous, and that is something that we got to reconstruct from the top. And we let go a lot of people with licensing that were never making the money that the people that came and took their place. And they're making double the money with these people that were licensed. I don't want to see a clerk making $70,000 and our guys that are trying to beautify and fix the city, which is the heart of the city, making $11 and did not get a raise in the last 5 years.
I will say this, for services there, we're paying about $39,500 for that program, okay? Now, again, from a policy perspective, the council says, look, we don't want to have a ministry program, and I'm not saying that you're saying that, but you want to redirect the money somewhere else, if that's the choice. If redirecting the money to streets or pay increases or whatever it could be, what you could do. On the flip end is I know that you do need to try to keep young people that are from here, and again, I'm giving my personal perspective here, that are from here that have, that are work towards a career happening, try to give them an opportunity. Not to say that people, I'm an outsider, I know that, I'm not from here, but at the same time, there needs to be, in my opinion, some sort of effort, something similar to what some of the schools do, is grow your own, where you're trying to keep some people, although albeit that, even if it's not in this position, in this program, it needs to be something that we're trying to, at the very least, trying to keep folks that do have a desire to learn and hopefully contribute in whatever way. And again, that's my personal take on it, and maybe because I'm a avid believer in education, but it is something where we should consider. Okay.
Any other?
Well, are you gonna allow the guys that get hired for the heavy equipment, you're gonna get them certified, you're gonna make sure they get certified and stuff?
Yes.
And I understand, like, with my profession, like right now I'm in the middle of budget as well, and I know that I put in the budget more money for my service manager because he just got certified as a HVAC tech. So we bump up their pay as well, because of their licensing and stuff, and this is something that, I would like to see these employees get certified to get that pay, for them to better themselves and get, a little bit more money.
I think, and I wasn't included, the two things, and again, there's some things that I know that we didn't catch. The two things that are not part of the stipend that we really truly need. We have a license, certain stipend for Class B and water license and sewer. Anyway, those stipends that are necessary for city to run, water licenses. Those things are hard to get, hard to achieve, but they're licenses that the city needs. There is no tool about water licenses, sewer, and the other thing that I would recommend is CDL, some CDL pay. The challenge with CDL is some of these guys that go and get it, the folks that can stay with it.
And then they go to county.
CDL.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. What do we do to keep them?
They're not paying them $9 an hour that
I know.
we've seen these guys start at.
And we're not either, not $9 an hour.
$10.
Not a CDL.
But, they're going over there making $20 an hour. I would go over there too, because we're not taking care of the bottom people on the bottom. We're only worried about up here. And the ones that are working on the bottom, they're making the city go. And I understand the people with the paperwork, yes, but these guys are working outside in the cold, in the hot, in the rain, whatever. They're out there working, and it's just not fair.
Go ahead.
Sonia?
Also, I was wondering if since we do have the maintenance team out there and stuff, why doesn't the city have an HVAC certified person in order to do service the buildings with the, with that?
The two things, that you could look for an HVAC person out in bigger cities, you normally have, I mean, I'll share my experience in Midland. I had a whole group of I had a facilities guy who was a master HVAC person. The challenge you run into communities like this is you just can't come across them. You can train them, but they just don't have that. Same thing with plumbers. Anybody that has a trade, quite frankly, and this is just my opinion, it's not going to work for the city.
Yeah, we sent ours, to go get that. So, our company paid for him to go get the training and stuff, so that's why,
We can look at that. I mean, I didn't propose putting it in the budget, but we have a staff to maybe do that. I haven't identified anybody yet personally.
Yeah.
Mayor, last comment towards the budget that I have. I would like to get a consent on these concerns and questions that we've been passing before the council right now on some of these elimination positions for the budget. I would like to get a consent. I know it's not a final vote, but it's just a consent.
You can't do that.
Consent, we can't get a vote.
You mean, you can, the list of items that you just discussed? Is that what you want to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You can read them off.
Okay. I'll get a consent from council to see, in this money that I'm looking at, I'm trying to save. I wish that, Mr. Reyes, you can put it into the street department, into hiring 3 more additional employees for the street department. And the one that I'm asking for is to eliminate the HR position, and that's something like $50,000 there. Okay, to eliminate the Main Street position, that's another $35,000 to $50,000 there. Eliminate the concern that Councilman Marriott had on the summer rec, the 18 and 15.
Okay.
That's $32,000. The 10 night, the one that nobody shows up to, $5,000. And then the one that we just found out right now was the assistant parks work. Since we're already going to hire a parks director, public works director, eliminate the assistant public works. I guess that's on the chart that y'all have.
Because on the ACE, that's 35,000. We shouldn't have even done it because the school gets money from a grant.
But then you got 5 million.
They got $5 million. If we weren't a part of it, we could accept applications here to help them, but we shouldn't have given them money because the school did not pay 1 penny out of their pocket. Because that money is done from a grant that they got for 5 years.
I ran into the lady that heads the ACES program,
Yes.
and I don't know that she says that, I didn't get into a full conversation with her, but I think they appreciate the city supporting them, but I don't know that, on that end, if it's something to where
Yeah, that
we can still
there,
get with it.
yes, because the school did not budget that money. It was a grant given. The city just forked over 35,000 when they already have their employees there. Is that
Yes,
what
Josie.
So the summer rec program has been a part of our program since before. We've always
We
done
started.
it.
We
We've
started.
always
We started.
done it, 20,000 for a salary, for the expenses and whatnot. The ACE program joined us this year just to get an additional headcount during their summertime. So we didn't give them any money. They
So that
provided.
35,000 that we have budgeted, we should still have it?
No. We
That's what we
utilized it. We use it every year for
Yes, but
summer.
I'm saying this, we founded
Yes.
the rec program.
Yes.
And we did it because there was nothing for the children to do in the summertime.
Mhm.
And at that time, that was a great opportunity. Now that the ACE is here, it's a fabulous program. My kids attend and it's at 6 o'clock. They eat, it's free, they do homework study, it's fantastic. The ACE program had to do it in the summer. So they were gonna do it regardless if we partnered up with them. That was my point, Josie.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we didn't give them $35,000.
Okay, but my thing is.
Yeah, that's what you stated.
Yeah, okay, well, that's what's budgeted, okay, 35,000. What do we have left over from that 35,000? What did we give them? Because you said we gave them nothing. What did
No,
we give them?
we didn't give them anything. We provided all the supplies and everything, the crafts, everything
But
that
that's
we
giving
give to
them,
the
because
kids.
we purchased it.
The
To the
same thing we
kids. That's the
do
same-
every year to the same
Yes,
rec
yeah.
program
And an
anyway.
Summer employee as well.
I
Yeah, we
understand
have the
that, but
summer
my
work.
thing is, we didn't have to do it, because the kids would still have somewhere to go, because the ACE was giving them the opportunity to go. That there, we could save money on somebody's salary. Somebody here that, their position
But
was
this is the same money we use every year for the rec program.
I
so,
understand that, I understand that. But fortunate for us, ACE is now here for 5 years. Fantastic. $35,000 is somebody's salary up there. If we didn't use that over there, and I'm not saying that we gave them the money.
Yes.
We paid an employee. I'm not done.
Now, in order for the ACE program
I'm
to
not-
continue, they need to have bodies there. Okay? And if they don't have a census, X amount of census, guess what? They lose the program. So I don't think we should be working contradictory to them having a summer rec program if they having one.
Because they had to have so many kids. What we didn't have to do it. But we were gonna do it because we've been doing it. I was one of the ones that founded that program.
Okay.
But when ACE came in, and that's a blessing to everybody. That's a blessing to the school, that's a blessing to
But
the
it
city.
excluded some of the kids in
And it
the
excluded
community.
the kids that go to private school.
Private school, yeah.
And if we had our own program, and we didn't partner up with the school, I wouldn't mind the Tree of Life to join. I had so many people calling me from over there. It may have been only 5, but those are 5 children times their siblings,
Exactly.
okay?
Okay.
My thing is, that 35,000 that we have budgeted can be somebody's salary. We got to reconstruct how we're spending the money, so we don't have to do this.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Really, you can give me a chance to get with the lady. I didn't get a chance to talk to her, but let me see if y'all can, let me see what her feedback is as the lady who oversees the ACES program. That'd be one thing we could do. I didn't get a chance to talk to her, but I'll set up a meeting to see what their position is as far as the city supporting them or whether it's in kind or what the real, dollars, the true dollars are going into. If y'all give me a chance to talk to her. As far as the other positions, again, I felt we did a pretty good job of giving the balances that we did considering the circumstances. I feel that the budget's pretty much balanced. What I'm trying to gauge, and I'm not sure yet, is eliminating additional positions that requires more work for the staff that's currently here. So if you're going to eliminate whatever the positions are, whether it's an HR position, whether it's any office positions, that work has to go to somebody. So what I'm getting at is do I have the staff to say, yeah, you can handle this? I can't honestly tell you that somebody's not going to come here and say, well, they're not tending to me because they're handling some other work. Now, again, I'm not there. I haven't been here long enough to say, yeah, these people have enough work or they don't. What I can say is I don't want to go and eliminate to a point where we don't have enough bodies, whether they're out in the street or here in the office, to have issues with the operations. And that's where I'm going. I felt the cuts that we made were, in my opinion, met the budget as far as the balancing the budget. But again, if we're going to have additional cuts or proposing cuts, that's my biggest concern. The program, the Main Street program, again, if you want to eliminate the program from a policy perspective, that's the council's prerogative. But on my end, I'm just trying to make sure that we have the folks that we need to carry out the operations of the city. Whether it's office staff or out in the field. And I understand your position of moving some of these dollars to people out in the field. I completely understand and agree with that position. So I just want to make sure that I'm pointing that out to the council. I know there's going to, Mr. Segovia requested some consensus.
Yes.
I need a clarification. There's 2 assistant public work positions. Are you eliminating both or just one?
Two?
There's 2 in the organizational chart.
So in the organizational chart at the beginning of the year, we have 2 assistant public works director. Their salaries are split between their regular supervisory department and the public works director position.
I think what we need to do is redo that organizational chart. Most of y'all voted on things that y'all didn't know. And what we need to do is that's Tink's organizational chart. He's no longer here. So that chart needs to go to the city manager and he needs to put his together. Because there's positions that, Robert, you just said, that you didn't know, that it wasn't transparent enough. But 2, come on, you're having all these chiefs, not enough Indians.
I think mine's a lot more simple than that. My organizational chart, I have something simple, but it's not.
Usually we have them in 1, 2, 3.
It's not, again, my position is centralizing people, centralizing departments to not, quite frankly, I don't need to have 6 or 7 directors reporting to me. I just don't need, not to be disrespectful to any particular person, but I don't need it. I need, I mentioned the staff, at least to Josie and a couple of other staff. We need a good public police chief, we need a good finance director, we need a good public works director. And the other positions, and those are the 3 critical pieces of any small city that you need. These other positions as directors, yes, you can consider them, but at the end of the day, those are the 3 positions. And the finance director in most cities, in small cities, also handles human resources, because most of our expense, most of what we budget for is personnel. So that those 2 need to be hand in hand. So again, that's what.
And usually the public works director, that's the main chief. He's the one that's in charge of the streets, the water, the guys that cut the grass. He's the main boss. He's the only one that should report to the city manager.
Right.
So you're having 4 from that area report to city manager. When the public director, he's the main guy that's gonna make sure that you don't have to call, Brad, can I borrow 3 guys? You don't have to call this other guy. You just go to the public works and he says yes or no.
If I may, the reason we wanted the public works director hired about 3 or 4 years ago is because we were having to pay for licenses. We don't have licenses. And so the person that we thought we were going to get didn't become licensed. So I don't know. We never have had one. So we got to make sure.
Y'all did have one. Y'all fired him. Rudy only bought us, and he had over 15 licenses. And it was under y'all's watch.
One second.
Okay.
1 second.
But that was a situation, okay? So my recommendation is, that's money, more money we could save if that person has the licenses to oversee all of these works, instead of trying to buy licenses from Honda and everywhere else.
It's critical, again, for you to have your water licenses, particularly water, because water regulations require you to have a license. DCEQ requires a license, Class B license, and the same thing for sewer. So you really have to focus on somebody that has those skills. I mean, I've gone to where even they make the city manager require to get the license, because again, you lose those licenses and you're going to have issues with TCEQ. I don't know if Bobby wants to attest to that, but I think that's pretty much the standard. So you have to have, in my opinion, as many people as possible to have those credentials. That way, if one of them ever drops out or leaves or whatever the case is, you always have another person that has that credential to support the city's operations.
Alrighty, have you concluded with your workshop, or you have more to discuss?
Just the consensus, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was understanding.
Okay, we need to entertain a motion to close the workshop, please.
I thought you said you wanted a consensus.
Yeah, I think that's what Mr. Segovia had alluded to. I don't know what all of
The
the positions.
the only question I have there is that need to refer by the 2 assistant public works.
Yes.
Who are they?
2 assistant.
Like, who are they?
Yeah.
They're on there, they're getting paid for that.
Rudy Carizales and Mr. Ortero. So
But I thought they had different titles.
they're
Well, what is Rudy? I thought Rudy was.
he is interim public works director, because that position is vacant, but they're assistant public works director on the schedule.
How do you have 2
So-
assistants in the same category? one of the employees
So
gonna
they're
listen to one or
split.
the other? If one says no, okay, I'm gonna go to this guy?
So
Okay.
Rudy has a water crew, wastewater crew, the gas crew, the public works floater, streets and the service center. And then Ram has the parks and the right-of-way crew is who he directs. So
Eliminate
that's
Rams.
how that is.
Eliminate that one, Rams. Keep Rudy's and eliminate Rams. That way we just have one assistant public works.
Because isn't that your director of parks?
On my end,
He is the
the only,
director
the
of
only thing on
parks.
that end is again, just, it's not my, but on that end is, we can talk about eliminating, when we talk about department budgets, I would prefer if we just talk about department budgets as opposed to
Yeah, let's
individual.
just talk about, because as far as
it really gets personal. when we
eliminating
start talking,
personal, that you, then you're interfering
talking
with the
about
city
individuals.
manager's
No,
job.
it's not.
We talk about the
He
budget.
can't, we don't have any say-so who he fires, because he fired all the head honchos with license.
Because
I'm
that's
sure
just-
y'all didn't have a say-so when he fired Conrad and Rudy
Right, that's
and
what
all
we're
of them.
saying. We're gonna
But
stick to the.
That's what
to-
we're saying, but this is what I'm saying is that we wanted to know what those two did, because they're under the same department.
That's fine,
I
but
will
you
provide
can't.
an organizational chart, a revised
Thank you, sir.
organizational
There.
chart at the next meeting. If y'all, if we want to have any additional workshops, or if that's the only questions y'all have, we can schedule one more additional workshop. And I say one because we do have to do the formal process of approving the budget. So,
I think it's necessary to come back. I think taking into consideration some of the feedback you've gotten from the council and looking at how you may want to address the needs and goals of the council, as I stated, because we did gather community input and business input, and we do need to listen to our constituency. And then maybe come back with your thoughts on it, and then we can maybe finalize some things. Sure.
And then you'll be bringing us a new,
a revised
a
organizational
restructuring.
chart. Yes, ma'am.
That's fine. Like I said, the money that I was proposing, I'm asking for 3 more employees in the street department.
Mhm. And so, and what I have here is according to your, you have eliminate the HR position, the Main Street position, summer rec program, team night, and one of the assistant public works directors.
Yes.
I understand.
I think in looking at everything, all I was asking for is how we redirect monies to include more staff out in the field. Because I do think that we need more than 9 people out there. Because, if you say 6 plus 3 more, I still think we need more than that. And we need more resources, more materials, more equipment, and so forth.
Right, I think one of the things challenging, and we can ask that without looking at the equipment function, because understand that on this end, none of this equipment is budgeted. And understand next year, when you start seeing the payments, if we say we buy $2 or maybe $500,000 of equipment, you'll start seeing those lease payments next year. And so then you're gonna have to adjust the budget to say, okay, well, we're gonna have to pay this amount, and where do we get the money from, either through, and quite frankly, either through raising taxes or finding some method of additional cuts. That's really the two, unless your sales tax numbers go up. That's the two things that you'd have to look at.
The only thing that's still kind of up in the air is the sales tax. You're using a very conservative number, though. So, I mean, if those numbers come out, I think the numbers are a little off as far as the sales tax is concerned.
What we need to do this year, and what we're gonna do this year, is we'll do more of an analysis on the sales tax. Because again, we have to identify the sales tax that's being brought in by the annexation. So once we do that, we can identify that. We're gonna seek the services of community services to help us out with some of that analysis. And once we can identify that we are seeing additional sales tax, then we'll be able to kind of give you a better gauge as to what we anticipate. But we'll be doing that in the coming months.
For probably those employees that were laid off due to budget cutting. A lot of them were licensed people. And from what I heard of it, they were laid off because they were doing budget cuts. will it be okay for those people that were licensed to come back and reapply because they were let go for budget cuts? And give them an opportunity to come back?
Sure, I doubt that you have anything in your personnel policy manual that would exclude them from reapplying.
Because I think those are the ones that should be given first option because they were laid off due to budget cuts.
We'll look at the budget, we'll look at the applications, and then after that.
And it's a question. He can fire, we can't tell him nothing. He cut position, he's just asking for us to be as courtesy. But my thing is, we let go of licensed people for budget cuts. And if they're already licensed, give them an opportunity to reapply. You don't have to, but I'm asking.
Alrighty, entertain a motion to close the budget workshop? Oh, I'm sorry, that's right.
Yes, with all due respect, who'd you say you're gonna put in charge of the streets?
We can't, that's his.
No, well.
That's.
Yeah, we don't have.
We don't have nobody like that.
Okay,
That's
we don't need Ramiro,
Okay.
not in charge of us.
Okay.
For the reason that he can't hold his own people. He's always firing people, or they're always quitting on him.
No, I understand.
So, I don't want to take over, charge of the thing.
I understand.
I don't need him.
No, I understand.
I mean, we've been doing so great without him. Rudy's our only boss,
Okay.
okay? If you want stuff done, then keep it that way. I mean, not to be sarcastic about it, but we're more comfortable that way.
I understand.
Alrighty, entertain a motion to close the budget workshop, please.
Motion.
Second. All in favor, the time, all in favor? The time is 9:07. City managers report, anything to report?
Nothing other than just moving and rolling and going. I'm trying to keep
Okay,
up.
review of bills.
Nothing significant. Everything I think I discussed.
Agenda items for the next meeting, next regular meeting.
Oh, no, just a workshop, another workshop, a budget workshop.
We have to finalize the 30-day notice is due.
So we should
do
have it
another
by
one.
the 20th.
We have to, we could do a budget workshop on the 20th, which is next week.
Next Tuesday.
Because we need to move the formality of the budget, approving, 30-day window there we have to meet. So that if we can meet next Tuesday, is that way we can file the budget with the clerk next Wednesday?
You do it the next day. You do it the next day.
Okay, next Tuesday?
Yes. So that gives time to approve, go through the formal block of public hearings for the budget.
You need an announcement.
Does that sound okay?
An inquiry?
What time for the workshop, guys, first?
You need a time.
6 o'clock. Still gonna be here?
Too late?
6. Can you be here at 6?
It's pushing it, but.
6:30?
6:30?
6:30?
Yes.
6:30? Okay.
6:30, you said?
For the agenda?
I have an inquiry. I'd like to know, we entered into an agreement with South Texas Country Brush Electric or something like that. A verbal agreement, if it was, I don't know. But it was still an agreement through the council, and it took council vote. And I understand that we're no longer, the city's no longer using them, and it didn't come back to the council as such. And so I want to know if any of the council members would like to hear as to why.
Just put it on the agenda.
So just to come out, South Texas is moving electrical.
It was South Texas Brush Country Electric.
What was their service?
He was a master
Electric.
electrician.
Oh, they're just electrician.
Electrician.
That's who we used.
So you want to put that on the agenda
To review.
to review his contract?
Well,
There's
that
no
regular?
contract?
Regular.
I don't think there was a contract, this is.
It was a verbal agreement.
It was an
it
agreement.
was an agreement that came to the council because the city went out for RFQs upon the request of the former city manager, and that's the electric company that was brought to us for approval. And so they're no longer being used, and that's what.
Can we also put forward a goal for RFQs? To find out what's going on with Brush and then also go for RFQs for, he could put one in as well and new ones?
So if
For an
you,
electrician.
that's the same thing, so you need one more of the council to agree.
We could discuss that. What our proposal to council, they want to move forward is, and I'm sorry about interrupting you. But we could, it's a request for proposal, which you could, or an invitation for bid, when you hire an electrician. And all you're doing is asking, you could hire, as the city wants to, you could hire 2 or 3 electricians, have them on call. And what you could do is just establish a rate structure. The electricians, they need to provide that for the bid packet, depending on the task that you're asking them to do. That's the way you could do this. You could approach it to where you could do the same thing for plumbing services, HVAC, whatever the case is. You can always propose to have 2 or 3 different electricians or plumbers on call with the rate structure that the council proposes.
Does that go for engineering firms as well?
Engineering firms are professional service, same thing as a good old alternative. They fall under a different statute. They're always request for qualification most of the time. The council can hire whoever they want as far as attorneys. Doesn't necessarily have to go out for RFQs, but yes.
My concern was, according to our last city manager, that electric company was supposed to be here unless we had concerns, or we said, no, you can no longer work for the city. But nothing was ever brought to the council, so that's my concern. My concern is, how did that end?
Okay.
If the council had the authority to end that verbal agreement.
Alrighty.
All right.
That it? Motion to adjourn, please.
I got,
Oh, you have an item for the agenda?
yes, ma'am. We have talked about the rate structure of the sewer.
Yes.
And my understanding is that we did the structure of the rate study, the rate increase, I'm sorry. And yet, they're still not allowed to dump at the sewer.
Oh, the dumping of the,
So you put that on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we had already voted on it.
Yeah, it was already voted.
We went up from 9 cents to 12, 13 cents.
maybe on that end, we can clarify the stat, we can get back to you, because I don't know, I'd have to get with Mr. Rudy to see what the status and why we're not allowing them to, but I don't know, as far as it being on the agenda again, my question is, I don't know what the.
They should be on the
It should just be, if you guys have already authorized for them to do that, then I just, operation, I need to get with Mr. Rudy and see why they're not being allowed to do that.
Alrighty. No more items for the agenda. Motion to adjourn, please. And second?